Australia's demand for drugs and a willingness to pay top dollar for them has reportedly led to Mexican drug lords building new empires right here in our country. And we're now joined by drug trafficking expert and ex-consultant for the Anti-Narcotics Directorate of the National Police of Colombia, now visiting fellow at the Australian Strategic Policy Institute. It's a big handle, but welcome to Cesar Alvarez in Canberra. Cesar, why is Australia a leading option for international drug lords?
There's three main factors, Cameron, and we have to say that first, as you said, Australians are willing to pay more money for drugs than anyone else in the world. The same kilo of cocaine that is produced in Colombia for less than $2,500 is sold in Australia for a little over 250,000 American dollars.
Wow.
And there's not much difference with ice either, because you could buy a kilo of ice for $5,000 in China, and once it is smuggled into Australia, you could get a little over $260,000. And this is wholesale price. This is not the actual price that the drug is sold on the streets. Also, demand is high. Despite Australia might have a little over 2% of the population on ice, still the country accounts for the highest number of ice users per capita in the world. And finally,
why is that the situation?
I would say that also, the death penalty hasn't stopped drug traffickers to smuggle drugs into countries like China or Indonesia, and Australia's relatively softer laws on drugs when compared to these countries, of course, they also play a major factor in this. And we've seen also people, more people and younger people joining, getting hooked with ice, if we have to say it. And there are many reasons of it, but the main point is that Mexican cartels are really looking forward to set their footprint here in Australia.
Yes, well, we can see the incentive for that. The markup is absolutely huge. I mean, Australians are prepared to pay a top dollar for these drugs, apparently. What do you think the federal police should be doing to try and counteract that?
Well, Australia's law enforcement agencies are joining efforts to put pressure on the right or the key points in the system. And by this I mean China, India, Latin America. And last week the AFP announced the creation of a joint task force with Chinese authorities to stop the flow of ice coming from Southeast China. Also, trilateral cooperation and trilateral operation are definitely key to stop this. We've seen cases during earlier the year where US, Colombian and Australian authorities have brought down syndicates operating in major cities here in Australia. But definitely there's a room for improvement, and by this I mean that further engagement with Latin American counterparts will be key, especially if with the peace process in Colombia accelerates that the Mexican cartels take control over the cocaine industry in Colombia.
All right, Cesar Alvarez, it's hoped that expertise like yours will help us build those bridges and get rid of this scourge. Thank you for your time this morning, and back to you, Dad.